Full service has been restored to a major U.S. pipeline following a cyber attack on it last week. The FBI confirmed the Colonial Pipeline was hacked by a Russian criminal group known as DarkSide. President Biden says the Kremlin was not involved. However, he does plan on speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the attack, which caused massive shutdowns at the pumps. According to AAA, gas should be returning to stations over the next few days, but panic buying has left several southeastern states and the District of Columbia with very little fuel. I want to bring in now Tia Mitchell. She's a Washington correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Tia, thanks for being here. You're in Washington, D.C. Tell us, what's the current situation like there?
Well, the situation, varies throughout the DMV area. There are a lot of gas stations that are still without gas altogether, or they are limited in what grade of gasoline they can offer. Things are starting to get back to normal, but there are still shortages that remain, mainly because of panic buying earlier in the week.
Well, according to Gas Buddy, an app that finds the cheapest fuel prices, the largest gas outages were actually there in Washington, D.C., as well as North Carolina, then followed by South Carolina and Georgia. You discussed the hoarding, the panic buying. Why was that in particular a problem there, and why were there such large fuel deficits in those particular areas?
Well, I think, people, the American way is once you hear there may be a shortage, people tend to get worried and they pass the news on to their family and friends. So you had a lot of people earlier in the week who heard that the pipeline was shut down and heard that, if that shutdown continues on for several days, that gas will become scarce. So people not only were filling up, but you saw people having, extra gas cans and things like that, because they worried that this shutdown could last longer than the supply. As you mentioned, that pipeline is coming back online. But what happened is so many people were filling up that maybe didn't need to, or getting extra gas that they wouldn't normally get, that it squeezed the supply more than normal. And again, the supply was already being squeezed because that pipeline was shut down for several days.
And Tia, as you know, many conservative commentators, including former President Trump, have been quick to blame President Biden for the cyber attack and subsequent gas shortages. How is the Biden administration responding to these claims?
I think the Biden administration was very sensitive to that. Of course, the Biden administration cannot be blamed for the pipeline being shut down. As you mentioned, that was caused by a cyber attack from a group based in Russia. However, the administration knows they can be blamed for how they handle the shutdown. And I think that's what the Biden administration was most sensitive to, how they were handling it, making sure the president was giving updates, making sure the president was being briefed regularly, making sure the president came across that he was engaged, and ensuring that there was a federal response and not just leaving consumers and the supplier Colonial Pipeline to its own devices, but that the federal government was engaged. And then you also saw that he put out some executive orders, because this cybersecurity issue does speak to a deeper issue that really any government entity, any business, large or small, is vulnerable in a lot of ways.
And President Biden did, in fact, try and take some level of action, signing a 34-page executive order on Wednesday to try and help strengthen U.S. defenses against these types of cyber attacks. Tell us more about what was in that executive order, Tia, that can help prevent similar cyber attacks moving forward.
Yeah, what I found most interesting was, number one, the executive order was to encourage American businesses to report sizable breaches to the federal government, which is something that security experts have been calling for, so that there can be a coordinated attack, that the resources that the federal government has can quickly be deployed to help companies when, again, when there's a breach that could affect, a large number of people. In addition, the executive order is to encourage more synergy between the public sector and the private sector to work on potential, updates, better security, better IT, and things like that. And of course, there's also that international element, because we saw, again, with this latest breach, that the perpetrators, we think, were based in another country. So I think what the Biden administration is saying is that if we want to prevent things like this happening in the future, America can't go it alone, because the internet is worldwide.
Yeah. All right. Tia Mitchell, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you.